Millions winners, 32, 54, 65, 66, 71. Mega Ball 10, there was no winner, so Tuesday's Mega Millions jackpot, $260 million. 158, traffic and weather together on the 8th. Here's Mary DeBatches.
And David, all lanes have been reopened on the inbound side of the Stevenson after an earlier shooting. Again, all lanes reopened on the inbound Stevenson at Halstead after having been closed for a couple of hours today after an earlier shooting. Now, on the Dan Ryan, they had the ramps to the inbound side of the Stevenson blocked. Those ramps have been reopened. As you're traveling in or out on the Edens, that's good to go. The Kennedy looks great, but do keep in mind that those express lanes are closed until 6 a.m. Eisenhower in either direction looks good. If you're traveling in either direction on the Bishop Ford or I-57, so far, so good. Get traffic and weather together on the 8th every 10 minutes on News Radio 780 and 105.9 FM.
AccuWeather says some cloudiness through the early morning hours. The low 61 later today. Mostly cloudy to start with a stray shower before midday. Then thunderstorms this afternoon and evening could cause locally damaging wind and hail. The high today near 80.
Traffic and weather together on the 8th. Breaking news and weather alerts at any time from the MB Financial Bank Studios. MB means business. This is Chicago's all-news station. News Radio 780 and 105.9 FM. WBBM.
Coming up in the next half hour on News Radio WBBM, the man who rightfully claimed he was the greatest. Former world heavyweight boxing champ Muhammad Ali is dead at age 74. More coming up from CBS News. A shooting investigation underway on the Stevenson Expressway, and an 18-year-old man is charged with murder and the death of a Chicago woman during an attempted armed robbery. WBBM Sports, Cubs now lead their division by 9.5 games after they shut out Arizona 6-0, but the White Sox got clobbered by Detroit 10-3. Mostly cloudy and 69, low this morning 61, high today 80, and we could have some severe thunderstorms this afternoon. CBS News is next. It's 2 o'clock.
CBS News, I'm Jim Sheneby. The sports world has been rocked by the death of boxing great Muhammad Ali, who passed away last night at a Phoenix area hospital where he was being treated for respiratory conditions. Well, Cassius Clay was 74 years old. More from correspondent Benita Nair.
After winning gold at the 1960 Olympics in Rome, Clay shocked the world when he beat Sonny Liston to capture his first heavyweight title.
Stopping it, that might be all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a bad man. I took up the world.
After he beat Liston, Clay announced his conversion to Islam, reintroducing himself as Muhammad Ali. That change of faith also changed the course of Ali's life. Citing religious beliefs, Ali refused military service in Vietnam. He was convicted of draft evasion and stripped of his boxing license. The boxer took his case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court and was eventually vindicated, but not before losing 3 years in the prime of his career.
Among his greatest fights, the first Liston bout, three with rival Joe Frazier, and one with George Foreman, where he regained the titles he had been stripped of 7 years before. There's been more bad news at Fort Hood, Texas.
We recovered our 4 missing soldiers. Tragically, all 4 of those soldiers are deceased.
Major General John Uberti, that brings to 9 the death toll from a training accident Thursday, where a truck carrying 12 Army soldiers was swept over by a fast-moving flooded creek. Just 3 were rescued. Correspondent David Begnaud.
I specifically asked the civilian spokesperson here at Fort Hood whether or not they were going to alter, change, stop, or in any way amend the training practices at Fort Hood while they do an investigation. And literally, he looked me in the eyes and he said, the training will continue.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott had issued repeated warnings about people trying to drive through flooded waterways after more than a week of heavy rains. A group of 10 Army soldiers from Fort Carson, Colorado, had to be rescued off Lones Peak in Rocky Mountain National Park. Then they got into trouble during a training climb. 2 were suffering from altitude sickness.
They had some medics within their group that were able to provide aid, and by the time we got to them, they're in pretty good shape, tired, hungry, thirsty, but we were able to get them down.
Park Ranger Mark Pita. What was already a nasty presidential campaign is getting ugly.
At a rally in Redding, California, Donald Trump said of his likely opponent,
Hillary Clinton is a thief, and Hillary Clinton should be in jail for what she did to our national security.
In an interview for Face the Nation, Trump says if he's elected, he'll insist his attorney general pursue a criminal case.
Everyone knows that
she's guilty. But Clinton shrugs off the notion that she'll ever face charges.
There is absolutely no possibility of that.
Clinton tells KNX in Los Angeles an indictment is just never going to come to pass. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News.
With 30 million radio listeners weekly, this is CBS News.
This is Shaquille O'Neal, here with 13-year-old Dylan.
Pleased to meet me.
What's that smell?
My body spray, dude.
A little strong, isn't it, bro?